Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at industrial decarbonisation, the importance of it for the UK and our carbon footprint, and the sort of technologies that industrial decarbonisation may enable other parts of the economy to adopt. And I'm delighted to be joined by David, who's going to talk us through the work he's doing with an organisation called Catch UK, which may not be familiar to all of us. David, what's it all about?
So Catch is an industrial membership and skills organisation based in the Humber, but also supporting the West Yorkshire region. We've got about 50 core members from the energy intensive industries and the energy producers. We've also got academia in terms of the University of Hull and the University of Lincoln. And we've got local authorities as members from across the Humber Bank region. Our membership activity includes networking, conferencing and events. And really providing advocacy for our members working regionally and nationally. So through our activity, we kind of develop the knowledge base to support regional and national sector strategy. And we found that decarbonisation is a key issue for all our members. So as Catch, we can support the strategy for our region, for the Humber region. And we've kind of got a 20-year history with the regional emitters across the region, and therefore an understanding of their needs and also the skills needs regionally.
Well, Humberside, of course, key to this. But again, people watching this may not realise just how important Humberside is. It's got some unique characteristics, industrially and otherwise, and do explain why that's of such national significance, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Humber is the largest industrial emitter by some distance. It's by some 25%. It has an industrial emissions alone of some 12.6 million tonnes per year, which compared to the next largest cluster of South Wales, which has 9 million tonnes. I mean, I think really in terms of energy intensive industry, with the specialty chemicals, the two refineries, British Steel, Saltend Chemical Park, we've got emitters really from across all the sectors identified by government as key to the decarbonisation strategy. The sectors such as cement, glass, steel, refining, chemicals, food and drink. And actually also we've got access to a natural offshore aquifer in Endurance, which could be an example of the storage, and is actually ready really for a transport and storage system to be implemented. So really the region does have all of these kind of capabilities, and we are a huge emitter, so we could become a fantastic example of how to decarbonise a cluster.
Well, let's hope so, because those energy-intensive industries that you mentioned are hugely important. And if we can demonstrate we can decarbonise them here in the UK, as opposed to driving their emissions offshore, that's surely a valuable thing, not just for us, but for addressing the wider global issue, which is why we're doing all of this. And the other thing that interests me, you mentioned Drax, formerly the UK's largest coal-fired power station. I think not just the UK's, but one of Europe's largest carbon emitters in the past, but now using biomass and other technologies, and possibly going even further to decarbonise. So I think it's an interesting example. Are there other technologies? I know hydrogen use as well as carbon capture and storage that you've got a great opportunity to pioneer in that region. So
the Humber strategy really has been to look at this 12.6 million tonnes of industrial emissions and try to break it down into the key emission hotspots across the region. And we've identified 3 of these hotspots to help kind of manage the size of the problem. So to the south, based around Immingham, we have the 2 refineries. We have VPI as the combined heat and power unit for the refineries. And there's an opportunity there to retrofit post-combustion carbon capture, and also a good opportunity for fuel switching to blue or green hydrogen as a feed. Blue hydrogen being steam reformation with carbon capture, a more traditional method but still capturing the carbon, and green being electrolysis. So at the moment within that hotspot, we've identified about 3 million tonnes per year of industrial emissions. But when you add the energy production through VPI, there is a capability within that region to actually extract 7.6 million tons of carbon from that area by 2030. To the west of our region, we have another hotspot based around Drax, Keadby Power Station, SSE, and of course Key is British Steel as a huge emitter within the region, plus other partners. With an opportunity again for blue and green hydrogen fuel switching. You could argue it's kind of a blend of blue and green, could be either or, it could be a kind of a turquoise solution. And there is an opportunity also there for, as I say, for fuel switching the 2 of the 6 units at Drax to hydrogen. The other 4 have already been converted to biomass. But if you add carbon capture to that biomass feed, then you could create negative emissions. And negative emissions are going to be key to delivering net zero when you think that there is going to be residual carbon across the region that just cannot be captured. There is absolutely a need for negative emissions, and biomass is one of the solutions for that. So that western region has about, in terms of industrial emissions, about 6 million tonnes per year, but there is a potential when you include the energy production from Drax and SSE for by 2040 to deliver 16 million tonnes of carbon captured. To the north of our region, it's really dominated by Saltend Chemical Park, with a number of chemical manufacturing companies such as BP and INEOS, and they have a CHP, a combined heat and power station there from Triton Power. With again the option of delivering blue or green hydrogen manufacturing from a plant. And the north cluster has been identified as having again about 3 million tonnes of CO2 emissions per year, so another great opportunity to decarbonise there. There's also inward investment, and we've just heard news that planning permission has been granted very close to Catch here just outside Grimsby for a project by a company called Velocis, which is a waste to aviation fuel opportunity on the South Humber Bank Industrial Investment Programme, which is a huge enterprise zone that's been set up on the south bank of the Humber. And I mentioned it's a joint Humber LEP and Catch bid. We won the phase 1 activity, which was to deliver these work packages throughout the period of April to July. We're right in the middle of that. But the important thing is that leads to a bid for phase 2, which is a cluster plan, which will be worked up between January 21 and March 23, so about a 2-year opportunity. And that will provide a detailed roadmap or cluster plan with data, with models, in order to deliver that kind of net zero for the region. So, kind of in summary, the Humber is the biggest emitting cluster in terms of industrial emissions across the UK by some margin. And we've got a huge opportunity to decarbonise our region. And, with the buy-in from the public and private sector, and with the kind of top-level strategy that we've got in place, and this whole place kind of holistic strategy, the Humber could, and I suppose should, become a world-leading beacon for kind of clean growth.
Well, I think that's a great point on which to conclude, which I'm sure will resonate with many people. We wish you great luck with this initiative, and look forward to hearing more as things develop. And we hope you'll be able to join us again, those of you who are watching, for another edition of these video casts as we update ourselves on this website and another step on our journey towards net zero.
Well, thanks very much for the opportunity to present the Humber perspective on industrial decarbonisation.